Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and recently I've been emphasizing a lot, that the United Nations and obviously the World Health Organization, especially as every time I see a fact check on Facebook, it's now WHO information, right? I put up, for instance, the entire Ron Johnson Senate hearing, right, where he gets up before other people in government and lays out actual factual information that we can't show on YouTube. Okay? We had an entire 14-minute video before we got there, and then you can go watch the whole thing over at Rockfin behind me. At least go make the free account and follow me there, because they're empowering me by allowing, again, an elected official to present facts in the houses of government that are supposed to be we the people, right? We're the guys, we the people. But that's not where we're at. And more, this legitimization of the United Nations, and for instance, this idea that now corporations like Facebook and Amazon should sit on the United Nations, first hinted out in Event 201 in the fifth part. Shout out to Simon Naylor for pointing that out over a year plus of me covering that Event 201 exercise. Thank you so much. I've got some of the best listeners and watchers out there that really direct me to well-sourced info. We've weeded out a lot of the fantastical stuff, especially over the last 18 months, right? And I'm sorry if I've been hard on people with the fantastical stuff, but the truth of the matter is guys like Ron Paul have been warning against the engine of the United Nations for decades. And in 2020, he, along with others, actually petitioned the United States government to leave the United Nations. That's what they wanted. And we're going to show you that speech. But before we get there, I want to invite everybody, young, old, right, left, middle, nothing. I don't care how you voted. I don't care about any of that. I want you to come down for a barbecue, some music, a party, people talking free food. We want to thank the Front Street Brewery in Davenport, Iowa, for having this event. We had our first person dare to say that this was somehow an insurrectionist event. Of course, the tour has been going on for weeks. Nothing of the sort has even been hinted at or discussed, or has anyone made such an accusation, which is, quite frankly, defamatory, accusatory, and completely false, unfortunately. But, they tried to point to the fact that Pat Miletich was in D.C. At the Capitol, and I spent time with Pat. He didn't even go as far as I covered that up to the second level. And you get to see the actual footage. It's far from a quote-unquote insurrection. Later that day, I went on the Graham Elwood show, a left-wing show, and showed a lot of that exclusive footage and, dispelled these media narratives that are still being perpetrated on behalf of a predator class to try to devalue what we are as a country, as they have done so much through this COVID-19 84 nightmare. And again, the vehicle of a lot of that censorship is the United Nations. So that's what this is about. If you want to know more about the activation tour, if you can't make Davenport, Iowa, we want the biggest crowd yet. Come down. You're going to love it. I promise. I'm a mean cook on the grill, okay? But you can go to activationtour.org, and there's a bunch more events out there. But this is the one we want you to go to. Remember to thumbs this video up before we get started. We're heavily censored here on YouTube. We've been demonetized now over 2 years. You can't even go back for monetization until December of this year, and I'd have to erase every video. Links are down below, including the GoFundMe. Check out Rockfin. We've been kicked off of YouTube now for over a week. We didn't have videos there. Plenty of videos keeping up that you can't see over on YouTube because we were booted. And I would encourage people to go check this out. If you haven't made the free account, please do so. If you want to support the program, $9.99 a month, $99.99 for the entire year, and then you get everybody's premium content. A lot of great names, a lot of great content. I just watched some Frank's Analysis. Shout out to Frank's Analysis. He's doing great work over there as well. Odyssey, thank you for backing up the YouTube channel. It's been a long time. I had it since 2007. when we put out Loose Change Final Cut and then Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, and New World Order Defiant Shade the Motion Picture, all available free right here, right now on both platforms, YouTube and Rockfin. That being said, let's just get right into it. Here's the man, the myth, the legend, Ron Paul, telling you why we need out of the United Nations over 20 years ago.
Dr. Paul?
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here this morning. It's almost intimidating to look at these boxes and just wonder who's been writing letters. And I hope the members of Congress get the message. We're here today to talk a little bit about national sovereignty. I tell my people back home that I'm still old-fashioned.
Oh, of course, we're going to have these stuff.
Believe in the sovereignty of the United States. And that usually elicits great applause because they know that there's a lot of people up here that aren't much interested in American sovereignty. What they're talking about up here is how you cooperate in a globalist type of government. And I guess the best evidence for that is what we're frantically, as a Congress, doing right now to accommodate the World Trade Organization by changing our tax law. Because we have until October 1st to change tax laws for the foreign corporation tax that they have ruled does not conform with the WTO. But this is an example to me on how we have sacrificed so much. I am not an isolationist. I believe in free and open trade and free travel. But I believe the way we spread our message is by example, but not by world.
Oh, see, it's going to keep doing this. I'm sorry. It's the price you pay.
Government. Today we have a foreign policy that is driven by the United Nations. We put troops under UN command. NATO determines what we do. We have literally put our soldiers under command of foreign generals. This is very annoying and something that the American people do not support, and yet it continues. We have become the world policeman acting under a UN banner. We follow the tax laws, of which is driven by world government, and actually we're in a welfare system through the...
Oh, sorry, guys. It's just the way it is. And now we're going to have a global...
banks.
Hold on. He's talking about the global banks. Remember, this UBI thing isn't just a United States thing. They've already beta tested it in other places in Europe because it's UN driven. All of it is. And Ron Paul, he warned you 20 plus years ago.
So we have three arms of the United Nations, which we have capitulated to. The first, the International Monetary Fund, which is the financial arm of the globalist type government. And the welfare arm is the World Bank, and of course the management of trade is the World Trade Organization. Unlike others who claim they're for free trade, I do not like the managed trade through the World Trade Organization. This is literally managed trade because it sanctions tariffs and actually permits a trade war to go on, but not determined by the United States Congress. This is the...
And let me say this as well. With Ron Paul here talking a lot of the financing of this. These were some of the back doors that bring in the authoritarianism that is now big tech. And people like Bloomberg, remember, who is one of the philanthropists, the non-taxable class, part of the good guys club to curb overpopulation. We played that earlier today. Part of the plan to build back better in New York with his contact tracing program. Remember when Cuomo was governor, he announced that? Schmidt gets the smart cities, Bloomberg gets the contact tracing, Bill and Melinda Gates, they get the education system. Just announcing it all. Legitimizing what? These philanthropic organizations, big tech, and global government working together against what was a constitutional republic. Oh, we hit it. Hopefully we're going to get back in there. Come on, Ron. Tell me you didn't freeze up. Let's go. Oh, it doesn't want to do it for me, huh? Look at that. We're going to have to do some of this. We might even have to do some of that. That's rough, guys. It happens. Hopefully we'll pick up right where we need.
8 o'clock, Eastern and Pacific.
Here we go.
Of thousands of people rallying in the streets today, condemning this movement. And as the UN moves forward into this century, we who have been fighting this attempt to undermine our national sovereignty see this as a threat. We see this as a threat to our sovereignty, to our freedoms, to our principles, and therefore we are alarmed. Evidently, others are alarmed too. We see a lot of petitions here. Tom DeWeese from the American Policy Center has been working on this issue for a long time, and I compliment him for being able to galvanize the American people. I actually believe this is a small number of people that are concerned, and there will be a lot more, and this will be a growing number once the American people realize what's actually happening with our sacrifice. A lot of people complain about the sacrifice of our liberties from the local level to the federal level, that we get too many dictates from the federal government, that the EPA comes and tells us exactly what to do in our various states. But now we're going one level further, and we're having treaties that are designed by internationalists, the Kyoto Treaty that will come in and dictate to the United States the particular laws. So it's not that we reject the ideas that we should deal with these problems, and it's not that we believe that we should not have trade with other nations. It's that we reject the notion that the American citizens should give up their freedoms and their sovereignty to some international government organization. So I welcome all of you here today, and am very pleased that I can participate in this event.
So let me just stop. He speaks later, but I think that obviously that's where we're going to end it, because look at these dictates and how they've metastasized into total authoritarianism. I keep telling people, you can see it. This is the global takeover. It's what enables, all right, it's what enables this new program in Australia to be taking place. Let's go down my line on my Twitter feed. We'll be there and doing it live. Thumbs it up, subscribe, and share, everybody. Let's get over here. So let's just go over to Jason Burmis, and we'll scroll down. And, you know, this voluntary program. This is where we're at.
Today, the call has gone out to everyone in home quarantine in Victoria to take part of our pilot program. And what that means is that they will receive random phone calls, and they have to answer within 5 minutes with a selfie sent to this app, which will then geo-track where that person is, and to make sure that they are who they say they are as well. If they don't answer within that 5-minute period, that's when health officers come knocking, Pete. Today.
Oh, health officers come knocking. Remember, it was the Nazis that used the Department of Hygiene. It's the United States that post-World War II used the Department of Energy, very innocuous, to do a lot of experimentation on people that still isn't talked about, still isn't discussed, right? And it was big pharma companies like Bayer that knowingly injected live HIV virus via factor VIII into hemophiliacs, including many children. These are all facts, right? This is the reality. And none of them, even though they did that globally, Bayer does that globally, why wouldn't the United Nations punish them? Oh, such a benevolent organization. And one more time, you know, I can't emphasize this enough. It needs to be emphasized more. The World Health Organization and the UN have no moral authority. They are constantly been enthralled in disgusting and disturbing sex and pedophilic scandals, including this one. You can just read down here, 13-year-old girl, 83 alleged perpetrators, 2018 to 2020. It's not like they've ever cleaned up their acts. All right, why are we listening to these people? Why are we involved with the United Nations? At least Ron Paul knew. Guys, thumbs it up, subscribe, share. You know the drill. I want you coming down. Sunday, Davenport, Iowa, in the Quad Cities. Myself, Derek Brose, Pat Militich, and many others. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a party. We're going to embrace one another, talk about some solutions to problems. Certainly not an insurrection. I love you, and I'll see you on the flip.